Well, joining me now on the eve of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations to discuss them and the Prime Minister's troubles is Jacob Rees-Mogg, the Cabinet Minister for Brexit Opportunities and one of the Prime Minister's closest allies. Mr Rees-Mogg, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you for having me on.
Welcome to TalkTV. We'll talk about the Jubilee and the Prime Minister in a moment, but there's another breaking story tonight. I'm not going to ask you about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp because we haven't had that verdict just yet. I do want to talk to you about this pretty extraordinary leaked email from the billionaire Elon Musk telling all his Tesla employees to get back into the office. This is a subject close to your heart, perhaps, and anyone who wants to work from home, he said, can pretend to work somewhere else. Do you approve?
Well, Mr Musk is, I believe, the richest man in the world. He must know something about business and working practices.
I take that as a Rees-Mogg approval.
Well, I never realised quite how much I had in common with Mr Musk.
OK. Let's talk about the Jubilee now. It's a big moment for the nation, marking, of course, this extraordinary long reign of the Queen. You're a proud royalist, I take it. What inspiration do you take from the Queen? Has she ever offered you any personal advice?
It's just so exciting, isn't it, that in our whole history, over 1,000 years of monarchy, if you go back to the Kings of Wessex, even longer than that, we've never had a monarch who's got 70 years. The Queen is on the cusp of being the second longest monarch in properly recorded history after only Louis XIV. This is something that no one else in our history has seen. Our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren won't see. We should be so proud of this moment in our history of somebody who has dedicated complete service to the nation, and I think that is inspirational. But no, the Queen has never given me any personal advice.
You've come across her, you've met her in your business.
Well, I was very lucky as Lord President of the Council to have an audience with Her Majesty before Privy Councils.
OK, I won't push you to say what happens in those because I know you talk about this. Let's talk about the pressure building on the Prime Minister now. 50 of your colleagues have now spoken out against him. 30 have submitted letters of no confidence. Where do you think all these letters are coming from? We're in recess now. We all thought, I suppose, this story had abated for a bit, but they're coming in as a pretty steady stream and from right across the spectrum of the party. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think you can always find people who aren't particularly delighted with any leader of the party.
But not so many confidence letters. This is a rare thing.
Well, I don't know. I had a go at one against Theresa May. We got some letters against her. It proved very difficult to get any further than the letters, as I'm sure you will remember. It proved quite difficult to get the letters. But there are always people in any political party who are not entirely on the wavelength with the leader. You might look at the Labour Party and think the deputy leader and the leader aren't on the same wavelength most of the time. So this is the natural part of party politics, because in a two-party system, parties are inevitably coalitions, and they cover a wide range of interests, and those vary and they clash and they evolve, and therefore you find a variety of people at any one time are not enamoured of the leader. But
Mr Rees-Mogg, you are adept at defending the Prime Minister, your friend and close ally. But to say a confidence vote, we're staring down the barrel of one, probably next week, is natural politics. It's just unbelievable.
It is natural politics.
Well, it doesn't happen that often. Admit it's happened in your party, twice in the last 3 or 4 years?
It happened to Theresa May, it happened... John Major did one in himself. It happened to Margaret Thatcher twice. Do you remember? There was the stalking donkey, Mr Newton-Dunn, you probably call to mind. So these things happen. They are the normal part of political life, that we live in a democracy, and this is quite right. MPs are there to express their views fearlessly. But the Prime Minister has a huge amount of support. He won a majority of 80. He has a democratic mandate. And he's doing things. The great thing about the Prime Minister is he got all the big decisions right in his period as Prime Minister. Every single big decision he has got right, whether it was getting Brexit done, whether it was ensuring we got through COVID, whether it was ending lockdown, and perhaps most recently in dealing with Ukraine. So
we've heard his defence. I'm wondering about the as and now of British politics. You say it's perfectly normal for a whole load of his MPs to try and defenestrate Prime Minister. Maybe it is normal in the times we're living in. Do you think it's a plot, though? Is this the discontented and the angry trying to settle those scores over Brexit, over whatever it might be?
But you're saying it isn't normal, seems to be your basic thesis.
Well, let's move on from that. I'll ask if it's a plot. Do you think it's a plot?
But I want to examine what you're saying, because you're making these statements boldly, but I wonder what your historical evidence is. I mean, if you look at pit the younger. One
Can we
of our
move on to
finest
whether
prime
this is a plot or
ministers.
not? Let's not have a history lesson.
I think we ought
which
to
you're
have a
very
history
good at.
lesson because
Well, I think
it
you
is
want to wind
actually,
down the clock. Let's not. Let me ask you if you
I'm
think
not trying
this
to
is a
wind
plot.
down the clock at all.
Do you think this is a plot or
I'll
not?
come to your question because it's quite an interesting one. But that actually it is the routine for prime ministers to find that other people want their job. It is the nature of politics. It is the top job. Stafford Northcote wanted to take over from Disraeli. That it is just the general way of politics. So I think to view it as extraordinary and exciting, maybe the requirement of 24-hour news, but it isn't actually historically accurate. So now to come to your point about plots. I think fretting unduly about conspiracy theories tends to be a waste of effort. One has to deal with what is actually happening rather than trying to see shadows behind curtains.
Because it does appear this is not a plot. This is MPs going back to their constituencies, talking to constituents, talking to their friends and whatever, and feeling a groundswell of anger about those events. Do you understand that anger, and do you understand why they feel completely entitled to say what they're saying?
People are always entitled to say what they want. I'm a great believer in parliamentary democracy. I certainly didn't shy away from saying what I thought when I was on the backbenches. It would be absurd for me to criticise people for saying what they believe.
But
the numbers...
You have called this story in the past fluff. This is part of it. You said fluff, a non-story, fundamentally trivial.
I agree with all of that.
You stand by all those?
Oh, all of that, yes.
It's not hugely persuasive to your colleagues who actually take this incredibly seriously.
No, I think there are a number of fellow MPs who are not enamoured of the Prime Minister. Most of them never were enamoured of the Prime Minister. There are one or two exceptions to that, but most of them never were.
So this is the embittered, who just never liked him
No, I'm not
anyway.
making those sorts of accusations. You don't become automatically embittered just because you've never been an admirer of Boris Johnson. That is not axiomatic.
All right. The bottom line here, if there is a confidence vote or not, do you think there is going to be one, by the way, next? William Hague, former distinguished party leader, thinks there will be?
I have no idea. You need to ask on Sir Graham Brady. He will be able to give you a better idea.
Well, he may well tell us on Monday. Some of your colleagues think this is going to come down to a simple electoral decision. Is the Prime Minister the right man to win our seats back, or is he going to lose our seats again? Is he no longer an electoral asset? What do you say to them?
I think he's an enormous electoral asset. I think the idea that a change of leader would help the Conservatives is for the birds. It would be the most divisive thing that the party could do. It's an exceptionally silly thing to want to try and would open the door to Sir Keir Starmer, assuming he manages to survive.
Why? Why would it open the door to Keir Starmer?
Because it would divide the party bitterly. Look what happened when...
Well, it might unite the party. I mean, they can't unite around him at the moment. That much is clear. You hear what they're saying.
No, I don't think that's fair. I think the overwhelming majority of MPs are still supportive of the Prime Minister. There are some who are not. I think it would be the most divisive thing you could do. I also happen to think that no other leader would be as clear on delivering the benefits of Brexit as the Prime Minister. So it would be a real risk that we would lose the opportunities for Brexit with any change. I think it would be the height of folly.
Why should another leader be any different on Brexit?
Because I have noticed, as a member of the government, that the drive for delivering on Brexit things, like the procurement bill before Parliament now, like the retained EU law bill, are driven by the Prime Minister's desire, obligation, enthusiasm for delivering on the promises he gave to the British people. I go back to the point I make about him getting the other big decisions right, but I think it is very important that we support Boris Johnson if we want to see the benefits of Brexit delivered.
All right, final question, Mr. Rees-Mogg. You've been a frontline politician in one shape or form for, what, 12 years now? If someone once said...
Frontline's very flattering. I'm not sure I'm a frontline politician.
Allow me to flatter you.
No, I know, certainly wasn't 12 years ago.
As someone once said, if the ball comes loose from the back of the scrum and there is a vacancy for the leadership, would you run?
I'm supporting the Prime Minister.
No, but I said if.
I'm supporting the Prime Minister. Come hell or high water, I'm supporting the Prime Minister. He's a great man, a great leader. He is the Prime Minister and he deserves my support and he has it.
OK. Jacob Rees-Mogg, thanks so much for coming to the studio.
It's been my great pleasure. Thank you.